Hi, my name is Isho. Today I felt like talking about some of my PlayStation 2 games that I have a collection of. So I'll be giving my thoughts on them, probably sharing some memories about them, and if I enjoy them or not. The purpose of this video, there really isn't one, to be honest. I just felt like turning on a camera and talking. It's currently 1 a.m. Sunday morning or Saturday night. I prefer to say Saturday night. It's really windy outside, so it's kind of like the perfect weather to just like sit down and just talk about stuff. And what better way to do it than to talk about something as nostalgic as like video games. I wanted to give a couple disclaimers though. This is a small list of games I've lost or misplaced a lot of my other ones during moving or doing things like that. I used to kind of have like a book and you'd kind of like put the CDs in, and I had a lot of the Spyros, the Soul Caliburs, the Tekkens, the Scalar, Crash Bandicoots, all that type of stuff. But unfortunately I don't have the tangible hard copies anymore, which is upsetting. So I'll just be talking about the ones that I do have. I kind of want to give a background on myself and my gaming history. I probably spent most of my time playing PlayStation 2. I did originally want to do a review of my PlayStation 3 games, my Xbox One, Xbox Connect, unfortunately, Xbox 360, Nintendo Switch, and Nintendo DS games, but it was a little too overwhelming, so I was like, I'm just going to stick to PlayStation 2 games today. So yeah, I did spend most of my time playing PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3. I bought a lot of games for Switch and DS and things like that, but unfortunately I didn't get around to playing a lot of them, just due to me changing a lot of my environment, being busy, or just being lazy, I guess. And a lot of them, to be honest, were kind of like post-breakup games, so I haven't really touched at all. I just bought them, so that's pretty lit. So yeah, I'm just going to be talking about some of my PlayStation 2 games. I originally wanted to do an ASMR video, but I'm a bit too shy for that, but I will be speaking softly because it is 1 a.m, as I mentioned before. Okay, so I'm going to try and power through these because this is going to take a while, but there's not many games, so I don't have to worry. The first game I kind of want to talk about is Jak and Dexter. This is, I think it's a part of a trilogy. This is hands down my favorite game of all time. I have always loved the Jak and Dexter games. The animations were amazing. Just simple things from like him jumping up like double X and spinning around and landing back down. It didn't look like his model was rotating. It looked like every limb in his body was spinning, including like Dexter's tail and stuff like that. It was just so impressive for how old this game is. So I've always loved it. I loved Jak 3 the most, I think. It was, especially with the whole thing with the dark and light Jak and things like that, and it's just so impressive. And the hover cars and stuff like that. I think the reason why I loved this franchise the most is because just the whole steampunk theme, the island, you know, Dexter's like confidence and funniness, and Jak's silent protagonist. It was everything about this franchise attracted it to me, so I loved everything about it. It was kind of like the fuel for my creativity and inspiration as a kid, to be honest. This and Kingdom Hearts, the first game, where it was just like these couple kids sitting on a beach, don't know where their parents are, don't know what's going on. I loved everything about that. It kind of just like stuck with me for a really long time, so I've loved these games for a long time. And I think it's Jak 3, that first level where you're in the desert and you're handcuffed and then they take you to the arena. It's just burned into my brain. Like, I always think about it, so I'm very grateful for the Jak games. The next game I'm going to talk about doesn't really need an introduction. These games are pretty universal. They're not really unique or interesting for me to talk about, but whatever. For those who don't know, this is Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. This is part of the Grand Theft Auto franchise from Rockstar, universally loved, critically acclaimed game, one of the greatest PlayStation 2 games, if not the greatest PlayStation 2 game of all time, in my opinion. As a kid, and I was playing this way before I should have been, this game felt so, like, limitless. Like, there were so many things to do, like, it never finished. I spent so many hours on this game, and a couple of my favorite things to do were go down to the stadium and do the derby racetracks, where you kind of like race around and crash the cars and things like that. I didn't even think I ever came first, but it was really fun. And another thing that I loved doing was going to the airport, but every time you obviously go to the airport, you'd get the 3 stars or 4-star police on you, so you'd have to pop in the cheat to get them off. And what I would do is I'd find the biggest jumbo jet and just pretend like I was like a captain or something, and I just pretend like I'm taking off and, you know, R3, get the wheels up and do all that type of stuff. I loved it. It was so much fun. I used to just basically play Plane Simulator in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. I know a lot of people have opinions on the 4th game, and they kind of say that it wasn't that good. I still really enjoyed it. I'm kind of a sucker for any games that have ragdoll physics in them, and I get it that it was slower and the cars were like more dull and things like that, but I personally really enjoyed it. It was something I kind of didn't care much of for the critics and things like that. I didn't spend as much time on Grand Theft Auto 5. Again, the later stages and the later games and the newer games I had spent less time playing, unfortunately, just due to my life changing. So yeah, the next game I'm going to be talking about is XMen Legends. This is part of a sequel or a duo. There's XMen Legends and there's also XMen Legends 2, I think. I love this game. Obviously it's based on the X-Men franchise. I remember this game specifically had a mechanic where you can pick 4 mutants and you kind of have your own squad and you kind of walk around and kill people. And you can always switch between which mutant you want to be playing as and things like that. And you unlock spells and skill points, and it had everything. It felt like an MMO. It was such a fantastic game. Obviously, I have this game because I have a love for the X-Men franchise, the films, and I'm talking about the original 3 because that's what I grew up on. So that's X-Men 1, X-Men 2, and The Last Stand. I know a lot of people shit on them and they say that they're terrible films, but as a kid, I took them for what they were, and I didn't really see their faults. I loved them. My favorite mutant, hands down, is Jean Grey. She's the only Class 5 mutant there is. I don't know if that's changed. I haven't watched any of the new films, unfortunately. But yeah, she was always awesome. Being Class 5, she is stronger than Professor X and Wolverine, so to all of you people that always love the person at the front. But yeah, I love the X-Men games. They were pretty great. The next game I'm going to talk about, this is probably my most unique one here. This is called Khan Barbarians Blade. I remember I just walked into the store and I just had kind of basically how I bought a lot of these games. I just looked at the cover and I was like, this looks cool, so I bought it. The best way I can describe this game is it's like an anime Prince of Persia, which sounds pretty lit, to be honest, but I don't think it was that good. But I enjoyed it, to be honest. Those two statements contradict themselves, but let me figure out what I'm trying to say. I think I remember it being really straightforward, but as a kid, I just played it. It was like a hack and slash. The graphics they look horrible, but they were probably horrible back then too. But yeah, these were the days where you'd walk into a store and you'd look at a cover and just be like, this looks cool, I'm gonna buy it. So you just buy it. So that's what I kind of did. Nowadays, we kind of like have to watch gameplay videos, read reviews, and if it's trash, it's trash. And then no one plays it. Destiny. But yeah, am assuming this is a unique game, but it's probably universal. I just don't remember anything about it, so that's that. But hey, it says pre-owned for $20, so I got a good deal on it. Lit. The next game I'm going to talk about is Smackdown versus Raw 2008 featuring ECW. I am not ashamed to say I love these games. I loved all of them up until they started doing the 2K engine. I personally felt, I understand that they were trying to focus on like realism and things like that. I thought I just saw something move in the background. I fucking shit myself. But I just felt like the games got much slower, and I felt like they were, you know, more upbeat, more lively during the Smackdown versus Raw age. I had a couple of these ones, and I also feel like the roster was at its best during the draft mode and the manager mode and all that type of stuff. You had the Randy Ortons, the Undertakers, John Cena's. I think RVD was on this roster, I'm not too sure, but it was freaking fantastic, man. Yeah, like I said, not a fan of the 2K ones, but this is where it was at. This was fantastic. How many times can I use that word in this video? Who knows? Yeah. I love the WWE games, and I have no shame in saying that. The next game I kind of want to talk about is Prince of Persia. This is Warrior Within. I am aware that there is dozens of Prince of Persia games and spin-offs, and apparently there's mobile games, which is fucking horrifying to think about. But this was the OG in my opinion. Prince of Persia on PlayStation 2 was where it was at. Warrior Within and Classic were my two favorite ones. So Classic was the one with the blue and gold cover. Everything about this game, just like Jack and Dexter, was so smooth, so fluid. The animations were fantastic. Everything was amazing. I was really attached to the character, the protagonist himself. I never really was into superheroes other than X-Men, but I kind of really loved this guy. He was so cool, so badass to me. So yeah, I love the Prince of Persia games. Not much more to say. Hey, I think I've mentioned everything. I wish I had more of my PlayStation 2 games to talk about, but unfortunately this is all I could find right now. But yeah, I'll probably make a part 2 to this, talking about my PlayStation 3 games, but I'll see how I go. For now, this was pretty fun and cathartic, and to kind of just unloaded some stupid shit off my chest. It's pretty fun, to be honest. Yeah. Peace. I hope you guys enjoy. I don't know who's enjoying, just me.